Welcome back to Book Bites, where we unlock the best books in 10 key points, turning pages into powerful ideas. Today, we're diving into Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. This book takes us deep into the workings of the human mind, introducing us to two systems of thought that shape our decisions and actions. System 1 is fast, intuitive, and automatic, while System 2 is slower, more deliberate, and analytical. These systems influence everything from snap judgments to life-altering decisions, often in surprising ways. Before we begin the summary, let me share one of the most thought-provoking quotes from the book. We can be blind to the obvious, and we are also blind to our blindness. This captures the essence of Kahneman's exploration into how our minds often mislead us without our awareness. Key point 1. The two systems of thinking. There are two distinct systems of thinking that govern how we process information and make decisions. System 1 is fast, automatic, and intuitive, handling everyday tasks and snap judgments. It's the default mode of thinking, efficient but prone to errors as it relies heavily on mental shortcuts and heuristics. System 2, in contrast, is slow, deliberate, and logical. This system engages when we need to solve complex problems or make thoughtful decisions. For example, System 1 quickly answers, "What's 2 plus 2?" But System 2 is needed for something like, "What's 17 times 39?" While System 1 allows us to function efficiently in a fast-paced world, its reliance on intuition makes it vulnerable to mistakes. System 2, although more accurate, is resource-intensive and often deferred to only when absolutely necessary. Understanding this dynamic helps recognize when deliberate effort is needed to avoid costly mistakes and when automatic thinking suffices. Key point 2. Cognitive biases and heuristics. Cognitive biases often arise from reliance on heuristics or mental shortcuts, which simplify complex decisions. While these shortcuts are useful in many scenarios, they frequently lead to systematic errors. For instance, the availability heuristic causes people to judge the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. This explains why shark attacks, though exceedingly rare, are perceived as a significant risk after media coverage. Another example is the representativeness heuristic, where people stereotype based on surface characteristics. A person who appears analytical and introverted might be assumed to be a scientist, even if statistically that's unlikely. These biases operate subconsciously, shaping perceptions and decisions in ways often unnoticed. Recognizing their influence allows for more deliberate and rational thinking, especially in situations requiring accuracy. Key point 3. The illusion of understanding. There's a pervasive tendency to believe events are more predictable and understandable than they really are, a phenomenon called the illusion of understanding. This bias often manifests in hindsight, where outcomes seem inevitable once they've occurred. For example, financial analysts confidently explain market trends after the fact, attributing success or failure to specific factors while ignoring the role of chance. This overconfidence can lead to poor decision-making, as it oversimplifies complex systems and downplays uncertainty. People may wrongly attribute a company's growth solely to leadership, ignoring external factors like market trends or timing. Acknowledging this illusion encourages a more cautious and probabilistic approach to understanding the world, which ultimately improves decision-making. Key point 4. Prospect theory and loss aversion. People evaluate gains and losses differently, with losses having a much greater emotional impact, a phenomenon known as loss aversion. For example, the pain of losing $100 feels far stronger than the pleasure of gaining the same amount. This aversion influences behavior in areas like investing, where individuals may cling to low-risk options despite missing out on higher potential returns. How information is framed also plays a key role. A treatment described as having a 90% survival rate feels more appealing than one with a 10% mortality rate, even though both are identical. These tendencies highlight how our aversion to loss and sensitivity to framing can distort decision-making, often leading to choices that prioritize short-term comfort over long-term benefit. Recognizing these patterns allows for more balanced and rational choices, especially when navigating risks. Key point 5. Overconfidence. Overconfidence often skews our judgment, leading to overly optimistic projections and underestimation of obstacles. The planning fallacy is a classic example, where timelines and budgets are underestimated despite evidence to the contrary. One well-known example is the construction of the Sydney Opera House, which was projected to take 4 years and cost $7 million, but ended up requiring 14 years and over $100 million. This bias stems from focusing on the inside view, where plans are based on ideal scenarios, rather than the outside view, which considers broader data and historical trends. A practical way to counteract this is through reference class forecasting, where past examples are used to inform realistic expectations. By tempering overconfidence with objective data, it's possible to anticipate challenges and create more accurate plans, reducing costly miscalculations. Key point 6, the halo effect. The halo effect describes how perceptions of one positive trait can unfairly influence judgments about unrelated characteristics. For example, a charismatic and well-dressed person might be assumed to be highly competent, even without supporting evidence. This bias frequently impacts hiring decisions, where candidates with strong first impressions may be rated more favorably overall, regardless of their qualifications. In marketing, this effect is leveraged by associating products with celebrities, transferring their appeal to the product itself. To counteract the halo effect, it's essential to evaluate traits and attributes independently rather than letting one quality dominate perception. This approach ensures decisions are based on merit and facts, not superficial impressions. Key point 7, decision-making under uncertainty. Uncertainty often triggers intuitive thinking that bypasses logical analysis, leading to errors in judgment. A common example is the conjunction fallacy, where people mistakenly believe that specific, detailed scenarios are more likely than general ones. Imagine being told about John, who is highly analytical and enjoys working with numbers. When asked whether it's more likely that John is an accountant or an accountant who plays chess, many would choose the latter because the detail about playing chess fits the description. However, the likelihood of John being just an accountant is always higher because it encompasses a broader category. When under pressure or dealing with complex data, we default to heuristics like this, ignoring critical statistical information like base rates. To make better decisions under uncertainty, it's important to pause and engage more deliberate analytical thinking. For instance, when evaluating risks such as plane crashes versus car accidents, considering the base rates reveals the actual likelihood of each event, helping to make more rational choices. Key point 8, the experiencing versus remembering self. Our lives are shaped by two selves, the experiencing self, which lives in the moment, and the remembering self, which evaluates past events. Interestingly, the remembering self relies on peaks and endings to form opinions, often ignoring the duration of experiences. This is known as the peak-end rule. For instance, a 2-hour movie with an exciting ending might be rated higher than a 3-hour movie with a disappointing conclusion, regardless of the overall quality. Similarly, people often recall a vacation with one fantastic day more fondly than a longer trip with no standout moments. Designing positive peaks and endings, whether in customer experiences or personal milestones, can leave a lasting, favorable impression that aligns with our remembering self. Key point 9, the power of anchoring. Anchoring describes how an initial number or reference point can disproportionately influence subsequent decisions. For example, if asked whether a car costs more or less than $50,000, people's subsequent guesses gravitate toward that figure, regardless of its relevance. In negotiations, the first offer often sets the tone, even if it's unrealistic. This bias also appears in pricing strategies, such as displaying a high original price to make discounts seem more attractive. To counter anchoring, it's crucial to question the relevance of initial references and seek independent benchmarks. For example, when purchasing a product, comparing prices across multiple sources ensures that decisions aren't unduly swayed by arbitrary anchors. Key point 10, practical applications of thinking slow. Engaging in slow thinking, deliberate logical analysis, is crucial for overcoming biases and improving decision-making. This involves questioning initial impressions, seeking evidence, and systematically evaluating complex problems. For example, in investing, impulsive decisions based on market trends often lead to poor outcomes, whereas slow thinking enables careful evaluation of risks, historical performance, and long-term strategies. While cognitive biases can never be completely eliminated, awareness of them allows us to counteract their influence, fostering more thoughtful and effective decision-making in personal and professional contexts. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the fascinating science of thinking. If you enjoyed this summary, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're curious to explore more about decision-making, uncertainty, and the role of randomness in life, I recommend The Black Swan by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, which delves into the impact of rare and unpredictable events, and Noise by Daniel Kahneman, which explores how variability in judgment affects our decisions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.